the conversations that I've been in of late, this is a topic that's getting increased attention and energy in a lot of organizations, and that's skills development. And so what we're going to do, how we're going to spend our time here this morning, we're going to talk about why skills development is so important, especially in what I think of as the ever-evolving world of delivering services in the tech space. And we're going to talk about a couple of different ways that we see PSOs approaching skills development in their organizations. And then we're going to talk about and introduce PS University, which is our solution for ongoing skills development. And so to kick us off, get us started here, I want to talk for just a minute about why this topic around skills development is so important. Why are we here spending time talking about skills development? So, we know that success in PS today is all about delivering a superior customer experience. How do we create that unique experience for our customers, and how do we do that in a way that helps them achieve their desired business outcomes? We talk a lot, and if you follow any of the work that we put out, any of the research, any of the studies that we put out, we talk a lot about these outcome-based solutions, and we know a lot of organizations are moving in that direction. To that point, it's no longer good enough to just get our solution, get our product, get our solution up and running, throw it over the wall to support, and move on to the next one. It's kind of the old way of delivering, right? Our customers today are expecting a lot more from us. They're expecting us to be more consultative, expecting us to be more strategic, provide ongoing value to them, help them get more ongoing value out of our products and out of our solutions. And so that puts some pressure on us, right? Puts some pressure on us to have broadly skilled and enabled service practitioners, because that's paramount to our success in PS today. So our practitioners have to have knowledge of our business, our products, our technology, our solutions, the industry that we're serving, but they also have to have knowledge and capability in the soft skills area, those good consultative skills that help us drive value for our customers. And interestingly, today's workforce is a little bit different, right? A third of our workforce today, they're millennials. And in the next 5 years, research is suggesting about half of our workforce will be millennials. And when they show up to work on that first day, first day of employment, they have a different set of expectations. They expect to be developed. They show up that first day, they want to know, what's my development plan look like? How are you going to develop me over time? What's my path to promotion look like? So that puts some pressure on us as well. And so having a holistic and ongoing approach to skills development is absolutely essential. It's crucial to our success if we're going to operate in the professional services space. And so, I want to just share some observations from the marketplace that we see and that we hear. And I'll say, I'm in a lot of conversations with a lot of PSO leaders about, their skills development needs. And it's interesting. So many of those conversations, they all go about the exact same way. We start off the conversation, get on the phone. I ask, tell me about your organization, what it is your company does, and we get some good dialogue going there. Tell me about the population of people that you would like to get trained. What is it they do? What are their roles? What are their responsibilities? And again, good dialogue starts flowing. And then I ask, what's going on in your organization that's driving this need for training and skills development? What's the problem that we're trying to help you solve here? And the answers all kind of feel the same way. Well, as a leadership team, we feel like the team isn't very good at filling the skill gap. And, we've observed some of our resources out in the field. They're just not very good at, again, enter the next skill gap. And a lot of times those skill gaps they're not very good at communicating effectively with our customers, or managing expectations, or managing scope, managing risk, managing issues, all those things that we need to be really buttoned down on. And other times that skill gap is more about where the organization wants to go or want their resources to really evolve into. And that could be building more strategic relationships with customers, becoming that customer's trusted advisor, or getting more consultative with those customers, finding opportunities to upsell. Again, kind of thinking future state there. And all of this information that comes out of these conversations is really, really helpful for me. Good for me to hear, and that kind of helps me process, what offerings that we have that we could take to those customers and kind of help fill some of those skill gaps. But the thing that I also think about here is that conversation is really revealing. It's revealing as to how these organizations are viewing training and skills development. And so the observation I want to share here is today, many PSOs, not all, but many, base training needs on performance problems. They see a problem in their resources out in the field, and they want to bring training in as a way to fix that performance issue. Training is going to be the silver bullet that's going to solve our problem. It's the antidote we've been looking for here. And we know that's just interesting, right? When they make that training investment, so much of that investment in both time and dollars is in general company procedures. So their methodologies, their tools, their templates, their how they run business, and their products and their technology. Hey, we've got some training budget to spend here. Let's go get some more Java training for the team, or let's get them trained up on SAP, or whatever the product and technology is. And I don't focus enough attention on developing the skills related to being a good PS professional, being a good consultant, those soft skills that are needed to engage effectively with our customers. And the challenge or the problem with this is it's reactive, right? We're going to wait for that problem to pop up and use that to then drive what we decide to invest in from a training standpoint. And that leads to an event-based approach to learning and development, and it falls woefully short of addressing the ongoing development of the skills that are needed to be successful in PS today and stay successful in PS in the future. And so if we contrast that approach with what we see from high-performing PSOs, they take a little different approach here. They take an approach where they foster more of a culture of continuous learning, and they're doing that to remain competitive and remain high-performing. They take a holistic programmatic approach to how they think about learning and development. We would say and acknowledge knowledge transfer is more than just that training event that happens, right? And they're focusing more energy on efficiency and excellence in delivery as they're expanding the skill sets of the team in order to deliver more outcome-based solutions, more outcome-based services. And they continuously invest. They invest in the continuous development of their people and make a conscious effort to keep them fresh, motivated, and engaged. And what do we know about resources that are highly motivated and really engaged in the work? They kind of have passion in the work that they're doing. Research tells us they tend to be a little bit more productive, right? And they tend to stick around a little bit longer. And in today's professional services organization, those are really, really good things, right? And so training and skills development has been one of our core solution offerings since our inception as a company back in 2007. And so what we've done is we've taken our training solutions, those things that we take to market every day, and our experience in leveraging training to drive real changes in behavior and what we see these high-performing PSOs do, and we introduce PS University. And that's our topic of focus here for today. And so PS University, just to kind of start off what it is, and we'll get into some of the details here. PS University, I would characterize it as very simply, it's the umbrella under which we deliver all of our professional services training. I'm going to say that, and then I'm going to back off of it just a bit and say it's more than just the training content, though. It's an innovative skills development program, and I want us to emphasize the word program here, that's designed to support the ongoing, and I think of it as continuous, development of those professional services, consulting, and soft skills that we know our teams need in order to be successful in PS today. And so what I want to do is I want to walk through some of the highlights of PS University, and then after this, what we'll do is we'll take a couple of these, and we're going to double click into them and kind of bring them to life for you. And so the first thing I want to talk about is the training content itself. And so you see right in the upper left corner of the slide here, the training that comes out of PS University, it is PS specific. A lot of that training is focused on the development of soft skills, or those consultative skills. And it's interesting. You could go out into the marketplace. If soft skills development is an area of need for your organization, you can go out in the market or go out onto the web and search for soft skills training and likely find a lot of training providers out there. The thing that's unique and different about the training in PS University is it's PS specific. The training content itself was developed specifically for PS practitioners by PS practitioners, and all of the instructors that teach classes out of PS University have all grown up in professional services. So they've all sat in the seat. They all have those, battle scars that we use to teach from, and bring some real life examples to the table. So PS specific training, definitely a highlight of PS University here, as is the experiential learning model. So a lot of real life examples. The formula that we use is in PS University. We teach the concepts and the techniques that are important from a soft skills development standpoint. We introduce activities and case studies to reinforce and give participants a chance to practice those techniques, those concepts that our instructors have been teaching. And then we take it one step further and introduce continuous learning opportunities at 30, 60, 90 days after the training events occurred. And so the idea here is, not only are we learning these new techniques, these new skills that we're trying to develop, not only are we practicing them, we get a chance to continuously talk about them, keep them top of mind for an elongated period of time. And the idea is to leverage that to drive adoption and make those new behaviors, those new techniques actually stick, and not just go in one ear and out the other during the training event. PS University also features, I'll say one of the highlights is a programmatic approach. And you see the words we use here. It has this university concept with delivered role-specific learner paths. And so I'll take you back in time, when you all were, and all of us were in college or at a university. At some point, you sat down with a career and an advisor and had to declare a major. And when you did that, I'm guessing your advisor put a list of classes in front of you that says, okay, if you want to be a finance major, you want to be an accountant, you want to be a computer science major, these are the classes that you need to take in order to fulfill the obligations to earn whatever that particular degree might be. We took the exact same concept with the training classes in the RTM Consulting and Professional Services University catalog. So we took the classes that apply to roles that are typically found in professional services and consulting services organizations and developed these role-specific learner paths. I'm going to actually double-click on this one here in just a second, kind of bring that concept to life a little bit more for you and show you what a couple of learner paths actually look like. PS University also offers flexible pricing options. So classes are available to be purchased and consumed on an individual level. So a person could buy a class, no problem. Classes can also be purchased for entire teams. And they're also available for our larger enterprise customers in a subscription model. And that's the second topic that I'm going to drill in on here in just a second and share a little bit more about. It introduces a lot greater degree of flexibility when it comes to how training is purchased and how training is consumed. The training in PS University is also features flexible consumption options. And so all the training is available in a traditional classroom environment with a live instructor. It's also all available over the web with a live instructor in that virtual environment. And then a lot of the classes are available on demand in a pre-recorded modular type fashion. I'll say not every class is available in an on-demand format, but every quarter more classes make it into our on-demand library. The nice thing about the on-demand module is particularly for those organizations that have resources that are extremely busy, have a high degree of utilization, tough to pull those folks offline. The on-demand option makes training available literally 24/7 anywhere in the world where someone has a laptop and a network connection. They can get that training content and consume it, wherever they might have a pocket of time to take it. And then the last thing I'll mention here from a PS University standpoint is RTMC support. So our goal with all of our training customers is to be the training partner of choice for you. And so, a lot of ways that we provide support, whether it's from a planning and guidance standpoint, sitting down, helping map out the right classes for resources to take, or looking at the roles in your organization or the population of people that you would like to receive training, mapping those roles into our learner paths, all something that we provide. And then from a technology standpoint, we have a lot of enablement and support through our LMS, offering post-training examination, self-enrollment, auto-enrollment, and a really neat feature is on the back end of training, offering completion and consumption reporting, which makes it really nice for managers to track the progress of their employees against training goals that they may have set in individual development plans. So that's a little bit about PS University. We're going to take two of these concepts and go a little cut deeper here, go a step further. We're going to talk about learner paths, and we're going to talk about our subscription model. And so learner paths, first feature I want to highlight here, I'll just say these have been a really, really big hit with a lot of organizations. And, these learner paths come right out of the box. You don't have to pay any extra for these. In fact, if you were to go out to our website, go to psuniversity.com, these learner paths are readily available for you to take a look at. They're out there right now, and I'm going to show you two here in just a second. What we did is we aligned training courses in the Professional Services University catalog with roles, again, that are typically found in a consulting and PS organization, and created these role-specific learner paths. And these go a long way towards really simplifying the planning process for how you're going to utilize your training budget. Every organization, I've been a part of these organizations where you get that amount of training dollars budgeted at the beginning of the year. And if you don't use it, sometimes you lose it, and you're kind of scrambling at the end of the year to find ways to spend it before it goes away. Or sometimes it gets stripped off if times get tight, and so you don't get a chance to use it. It's one of those things that actually gets cut. What we've done is with the learner paths, you can take a look at all the classes roles should take, and you can decide where it makes sense to plan to spend your training budget throughout the year, and do that in a really, really flexible fashion. So kind of a neat feature there. And then this university concept gives us the ability to align training to where each resource is in their career, kind of meet them where they are. And so interestingly, all of our resources are at different places. You've got the very, very veteran folks, and you've got the entry-level folks. The classes, and you'll see this here in just a second, are all organized just like a university curriculum or a university major program into 100, 200, 300, and 400 level classes. So if you have that veteran resource that's been in the field for 10 or 15 or 20 years, you can think of them as testing out of those entry-level classes and move on to more advanced topics and not really miss a beat. But those people that are new to their careers, or maybe you're bringing them out from behind the curtain for the first time and putting them in front of a customer, those foundational classes, those 100-level classes are invaluable to them to help get their career as a consultant started off on the right foot. And so this allows us to meet folks where they are from a development standpoint. And it gives your resources a blueprint, right? A blueprint that they can follow to help with their career development. That's one of the things I wish I had when I was starting my career as a consultant, is a curriculum laid out that said, here are the classes that you need to take. Here are the topics you ought to be thinking about as you're having experiences with customers. Here's the order in which you ought to think about taking these. And you can start to progress through these topics or these classes over some period of time. So really, really great option there too. Then I mentioned before, making it really easy for managers to monitor and track employee progress against skills development goals. So when you have that planning process at the beginning of the year, you're identifying the things each employee should work on. You can tie those back specifically to classes in their learner path and set a goal that they need to complete these classes, over a quarter, a couple of quarters, or throughout the year. And then with reporting on the back end, track to see how they're doing and not relying on taking someone's word for it. And then you can also measure whether they took the training seriously and picked up on the concepts that were being taught through examination on the back end that's available as well. So just to further illustrate what a learner path is and what this concept looks like, I wanted to show you what a couple of them actually are. So I selected two. We have our delivery practitioner and our project manager learner paths here. And just to kind of give you a lay of the land as to how these look and how these work. Again, it probably brings you, takes you back in time just a bit to your major program in college. You see we have a series of courses, and we're just going to pick on our delivery practitioner learner path here, a series of courses that all have a course number. You see the 100, 200, 300, and 400 level classes. And each class has an expected number of hours that it takes to complete the class. And you see a little bit of variance there in the majority of the classes, and that's driven by the 3 different ways to consume the training. What ends up happening is if these classes are consumed in an on-demand fashion, there's not any engagement with a live instructor, there's not a lot of Q&A or anything like that. So they take generally about an hour to complete in this case. And then when we do have a live instructor, we have a high degree of interaction and facilitated discussion and activities. And so those topics tend to take a little closer to 2 hours to get through there. So that's kind of the reason behind the variance. And then interestingly, just to kind of take the levels a little bit further, you see the entry level, the 100 level, very fundamental to a career or someone starting their career as a consultant. And then we progress into more soft skills of being a consultant, starting to refine that craft of being an effective consultant and working with customers. And then we get into some more advanced topics around thinking about the value that's created by us as consultants and how we leverage that value and some of the relationships that we build to identify opportunities to upsell with customers. And then we go further into some of the nuances of writing SOWs. And we can take your participants, if you have someone who's an aspiring manager perhaps, take them behind the PS curtain and expose them to some of the economics behind the PS engine, talk to them about the financial model, and give them, again, some of the more advanced concepts of being a professional in the PS space. And so that's a little bit about our learner paths. The next thing I wanted to just give you a little bit of insight into is our subscription option. And this is something that I found to be a little bit unique. And the word that comes to mind for me when I think about being able to purchase training in a subscription type model is just this notion of being extremely flexible. And so the idea here is this is a bulk training purchase. And what this does is this allows you to sit down and partner with RTM Consulting to identify a population of people that you would like to receive training, sit down and map out which classes or get some idea of the classes that they might want to take. The idea there is to really come up with a set number of credits that might be consumed over a period of time. And typically a subscription period is a year. Can be a couple of years if we want to use a little longer period. And so we do some credit planning. Each class is assigned a set number of credits that it takes to complete the class. We do the credit planning, and then we establish an annual allotment of these training credits. And we sit down and do the paperwork behind completing that bulk training purchase. And when that purchase happens, the price for those credits is at a volume-based discount from our standard event-based training prices. So again, volume speaks volumes in the training world here, and so that's acknowledged as part of a subscription purchase here. And the thing that is unique and really, really helpful here is when you make that bulk purchase, you don't have to declare specifically at the time of purchase who's attending the training, down to the named resource level or named employee level, which specific classes they're taking. All of that is designed to be really, really flexible because, things may change throughout the year. You may hire some additional resources. All that's fine and good under the subscription model. And by purchasing these subscription credits up front, this really helps eliminate some of the fighting for budget that happens throughout the year. Anytime you have somebody who needs to get some training, or someone who has maybe some downtime or some free cycles that you might want to take advantage of in order to get them in some training maybe sooner rather than later, because it's putting all of the contract and paperwork, it's putting all that up front. And then what happens as your employees enroll in training classes throughout the year, or we conduct a training event for you throughout the year, that consumes a number of credits out of your annual allotment. We can take those same credits and convert them to doing some customized training. So if you wanted to customize our content, you can apply credits to doing that. The continuous learning sessions that I mentioned earlier, the credits can be applied to those as well, or even some one-on-one mentoring. And if at any point additional credits are needed in that 1 year or a couple of year subscription period, credits can be purchased at any point in time. So the last thing I want to do is answer a question that I get asked a lot. and that's, how do we get started? PS University sounds great. We have a need for training. How do we get started? What does that look like? And then what does the actual delivery process look like if we think about this more programmatically? And so the process starts with simple baseline and planning. Our training resources sit down and spend a lot of time working with you, working with representatives from your organization to understand your current state environment, identify with you your skill gaps, and really profile your desired training outcomes. Then we work to map your roles. If you want to go down the learner path process, map your roles into our delivered learner paths. And we can work with you to simply take our catalog and identify a set of courses. If you want to be even more flexible than that, identify a set of courses to make available to your team members for auto-enrollment, or we can also do self-enrollment if you would like. From there, once we have a good feel of what we're going to make available to the team and how that's going to be structured, we get into training delivery. And I mentioned those 3 different ways of delivery in a traditional classroom, online, and on demand. And then we certainly recommend continuous learning to reinforce and drive the adoption of training behaviors by conducting concept refresh and continuous learning sessions at 30, 60, and 90 days after the training events occurred. And then reporting and monitoring on the back end through the technology that we have in our LMS. So 4 essential steps to getting this started and executing. And then in summary, and I realize we're getting close on time here, just to summarize, the unique aspects of PS University and how we think about skills development. PS University certainly provides a programmatic approach versus just that event-based way of getting skills development for your team. It does include those role-specific learner paths that we've mapped to typical roles in consulting and professional services organizations. The curriculum is PS-specific and organized like a college curriculum. Flexibility is the key word of the day. Technology-enabled delivery options. We do have online examination and testing to measure absorption and reporting on the back end. And then that flexible consumption model with options for individual teams and entire PS organizations. And the last thing I'll end on is all of the content is delivered by PS practitioners. So these are not folks that have come in, memorized content, and simply repeat it back to an audience. These are folks that have sat in the seat and teach from the experiences, both good and bad, that they've had in their careers. And so with that, I want to simply thank you for being a part of today's webcast. A couple of resources that I'll give you if you do have interest in PS University. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me directly. You have my email address there at the bottom of the slide. And if this is a topic of interest and you'd like to learn a little bit more, if you check out psuniversity.com, I think you'll find a wealth of information out there. So with that, Thomas, I'll turn things back over to you.
All right. Excuse me. Thanks. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks for your perspectives there on PS University. We are at the bottom of the hour and we were allotted 30 minutes. So we have had a few questions come in and I would like to get to those. But for those that can only spend 30 minutes with us today, I really appreciate you spending some time with us and learning about PS University. And for those still on the line who want to stick around for our Q&A session, we've got a few coming in and I'd like to answer those if you got just a few more minutes, Ryan.
Sounds great.
Perfect. Okay, so this is an interesting question. It came in a couple different ways, but it's basically talking about the challenge of measuring the ROI of training. And she asks, what do you recommend we do to maximize what we spend on training for our team?
That's a great question. I get asked that question a lot. And I'll start by just acknowledging the fact that measuring the ROI of training, particularly soft skills training, is really, really challenging. What I like to think about is the approach to transferring knowledge and thinking about those activities and things that need to occur in order to make behavioral changes, make those concepts and techniques really, really stick. And I'll just say the formula that we use and kind of the theory that we subscribe to is we like to present content. We do that in a very, very practical way. So techniques, new tools, new concepts, doing that in a very, very practical way, a way that's easy to wrap our minds around. and then translating that into, okay, now how does that apply to a consulting or a professional services environment, so a project-based environment, and then hitting pause and talking about it, leveraging some shared experiences from participants and our instructors, doing some activities, kind of bringing those things to life, and then giving participants a chance to practice what they've learned. And a lot of times we do that through interactive case studies. Practice and apply what it is they've just been taught. And it's interesting. I was looking at some research just the other day, and if we look at how much information we retain when we sit in a training class, you'll hear different opinions, but generally you retain about 20 to 25% of what you hear. But if we take the step to actually practice what we just learned, the consumption and the absorption goes up exponentially. And so, we try to bring that to life. And then those continuous learning sessions I mentioned earlier, those are super impactful in terms of keeping the conversation going, keeping the concepts and techniques top of mind for a longer period of time, and actually leveraging participants talking to each other about, as they've gone back into the real world and applied some of those techniques, what's worked well, what hasn't worked well. And so continuous learning on the back end is just tremendous as an option. Examination is another way another tactic that can be used to measure absorption and those kinds of things. And then looking at some of the outcomes on the back end. So, surveys are definitely an option. Looking at upselling and those kinds of things, definitely an option as well. Great question.
Yeah, that was good. That came in a couple different ways, so I definitely want to address that. Let's get one more in here before we sign off. And this came in as you were covering the learner path, and it talked about do your customers or people who've gone this route, do they buy a particular class for a team, or do they buy the entire learning path?
Ooh, that's another good question. I'm going to go back to the word that I use that really comes to mind with some of the features of PS University, and that's flexibility. I'll say our customers have done all of the above. They buy some classes for teams. They've bought entire learner paths. They've even sat down with us and looked at our training catalog and kind of gone shopping. And they've been picking and choosing which classes they would like to make available to their team. And we've segmented off their area within our LMS to where they have their organization-specific catalog of classes that are available. So definitely flexible to handle any of the options, learner path or class specific.
Okay, perfect. Okay, we are about 5-6 minutes over, so I want to start wrapping things up here. We have a few more questions in there, and we'll definitely answer those offline and get back to you folks on that. But I did want to thank again everyone who stayed on the line through the Q&A. Thank you for spending some time with us and learning about this unique approach to professional services training as the way we see it. And then Ryan, I'd also like to thank you for presenting today's webcast. And with that, I think we'll sign off. Thanks again, everyone. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.